Thanks everyone, you're listening to the Aquila View. I'm your host Narayan and we're back again with yet another interesting episode of Aquila View. Today we have with us team Borealis from New Delhi. Before moving into the podcast, I'd like the team itself to introduce themselves first. Start the introduction with others in the alphabetical order.
I'm Team Borarius' design and manufacturing engineer. So I handle designing the car and researching the different concepts regarding the car design. I also need to manufacture the car with the necessary materials.
Thank you so much, others. Arikul.
Right? So, first of all, I'm the team manager, so I organize the team and make sure everyone is doing their work. Also, aside from that, I'm also the document designer because I'm responsible for like the portfolios and the documents. And yeah, that's it for me.
Amazing.
So I'm Kosh and I'm the resource and finance manager of the team. So like basically whatever money we have and the resources we have, I make sure that we use it as effectively as possible.
Right. Amazing. Trisha.
Hi, I'm Trisha, and I'm the sponsorship and marketing manager at Team Borealis. I'm also the graphic designer, so I design the posts and I help get sponsors to that we can fund the products and the car we need.
Right. Amazing to know you guys. Before we actually move into the podcast for next around 20 to 25 minutes, I'd like to know how you guys met each other and how actually Team Borolis was formed. So probably we can have everyone's opinion on it because everyone has a different story to share, right? So Adit, you can start.
Okay, so I'll start. So how we got into F1 in schools was basically our school sent us a notice about F1 in schools, and I wanted to sign up for it because there was a STEM competition and I wanted to try out for it. Then because Arakul and I were friends, so I contacted him and asked him if he wanted to be part of this. So he agreed and we formed a team. And then basically tried to get in contact with a bunch of other students who will also be interested in F1 in schools, and then that's how we got Kosh and Prisha in part of the team as well.
Right, amazing. Arikul.
Right. So this is pretty funny. So I was just going about my day when I got a message from Adit saying if I wanted to form a team. So unlike everyone else, I've actually
Yes.
done F1 before last year. And I decided that I didn't want to do it again, but I actually owed Adit a favor, so I joined again. So that's how we started. And then Adit insisted that I contact literally everyone I know. So we did that, and out of like 80 students, I got two other people.
Hey, that's amazing. So you probably hold a good experience in Formula in schools. Yeah. So, yeah, amazing. Kush, what I mean, what do you think? How you came together? Obviously, Arikul might have contacted you, right? But what do you think? And what was the story?
So well, other than Arak, who were my friends from school, so when they contacted me, I think I was pretty curious to know what this competition was about. So I just like did some research on it, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So I thought I really wanted to give it a try. So I just joined the team.
Amazing. Uh, Trisha, did you join the team?
So I actually done a little bit of F1 in schools around last year. Due to one of the team members quitting, we couldn't move forward, so I didn't do it last year. But I've always wanted to try out and see what it was about and to like do some kind of STEM competition. So that's why I did it this year.
Hey, so probably, I mean, two of the team members holds previous year experiences as well, right? So amazing. Coming on, I'd firstly, yeah, congratulations on probably qualifying for the national finals, and it's great to see people coming up and I mean performing that brilliantly, and that's amazing. So, guys, you are now participating in the national finals. So, Arikul, this is a question that probably I need to ask to you. That what is the strategy from now, right? Because all right, regional was something very different, but national finals is a whole together different thing. So, what is the strategy from now on that you guys are probably looking up for, and what the timeline looks like, and how are the team meetings going on, and everything.
Right. So we're not doing this. We're doing this more casually than you might think because instead of like doing scheduled meetings, we're basically just discussing whenever something comes up, and therefore like it's more dynamic and we know what's going on, and so we're basically trying to do everything in order instead of at once, like starting with the DNA and then going on to the to to the entire portfolio. Sorry, I'm just kind of out of breath, but yeah, as for car, we're also doing that like simultaneously with the portfolio. So Adit can probably explain that in more detail. So go ahead.
So for the car, what I'm doing is first I'm doing a D&E alongside the car design so that I can document any progress made perfectly, because otherwise I would have to go back to the previous design of the car for the design timeline. So I'm doing a D&E alongside the car design. So like whenever I
Yeah,
do put my
that's
research, I put all my research into design D&E portfolio.
okay. That's great, and probably this is a good strategy that teams can follow. I guess it should be more casual, so teams things become easy, right? Amazing. Another question to you, Arikul, is because you are leading the team, right? So as a leader and as a team manager, there comes a lot of responsibilities as well, right? And obviously, with great, I mean, it said that with great power comes great responsibilities. What do you think, according to you, is the most influential and the most important skill a leader should have in order to have a successful journey ahead of the team?
I think the most important thing, like knowledge leaders should have, is that they're not the best at everything. They should be able to like delegate different aspects to different people. Because I know that Adit is way smarter than me when it comes to like engineering, and Trisha can actually talk to
Okay.
people, and yeah, so I actually let them handle like the sponsorships and the car and all that, and I focus on what I'm good at. But at the same time, like you shouldn't just like sit back and let them do everything, because like then what's the point of even being a leader? So like you should be a guiding hand, but
Definitely.
you shouldn't try to like micromanage everything like you're playing Age of Empires. You should just like be more casual and make sure that everyone is playing to their strengths, but you should make sure that it's all consistent and staying together.
That's true, yeah. And probably coming on, my next question is probably on shifts and marketing and social media. Right? So, firstly, on to sponsorships, you guys plan? I mean, obviously, national finals have a huge expense, and we probably might have created our budget sheets that all right, this is the budget that we'd be requiring. Then we all might have created sponsorship prospectus, a list of sponsors that we'd be approaching. All of these things happens, right? What would be an honest opinion, Trisha, that how easy or how hard is it to get a sponsor on board?
Well, it's not really easy because right now, even if there wasn't the kind of situation right now with the pandemic and everything, it would be hard to get a sponsor because it's not really easy with to sponsors for company to get to sponsor small a team like ours. It doesn't really benefit. They don't feel like it benefits them. So right now it's even harder because lots of companies and firms are going through harder economic hardships. So we have to just really help them understand how it actually could help them and benefit their team identity as their firm's identity. It's not easy, but after some kind of negotiation and stuff, it sometimes helps them to get on board.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? So, what are you guys targeting? A cash sponsor or in-kind sponsorships? And probably, I guess, in-kind sponsorships are way easier than to get a cash sponsorship. So, I mean, what's the strategy? I mean, is it that you're looking for some in-kind sponsorships, or also cash sponsorships are being considered?
Yeah, so in-kind sponsorship is easier to get because obviously for obvious reasons. But we're trying to get more of a fund sponsorship instead of in-kind because it's easier for us to be able to organize the funds and use it for what we want. Whereas an in-kind is more of a set thing that the company sets, and it's not always what we necessarily need and want. But it, so basically, our plan is that we have to just help them understand that it does benefit them and how it's going towards a good cause and how it'll eventually help them in the long run. So I think it's very important to help them understand that.
Definitely. Uh, Coming on, Trisha, I'd like to talk to you about how you guys are managing your social media, right? Because that's also very key important when it comes to the judging process of Formula One in schools as a competition. How you guys are probably aligning your team identity with social media, and how you guys are coping up with your social media. Since social media and marketing do not hold that much percentage of scorecard, but at the same time, it is important to showcase what you're doing, right? It is a factor that it is considered that if a team is active or not. So, I mean, how are you guys probably coping up with that thing?
Yeah, so it's hard to act because it's really important for social media because it helps sponsors also see what the kind of work you're doing and if it's like if it's good for them to sponsor us. So we try to make
Yeah.
a kind of all-rounded approach to this. So by posting, we're coming up with new kind of strategies, but so far we posted about quotes and stuff. So quotes that kind of show people our team identity and what we stand for and the way we work.
Yes.
I think that's important to show how we work and so everyone can get a better understanding of what our team stands for.
Definitely, I guess. And as you stated, that sponsors also look up uh, to team social media and websites and all of these things. So it is super important to just maintain a social media, even if it carries a very small portion of scorecard, right? Moving on, I mean, we talked about how a leader is managing the team and how the sponsorship and marketing manager is probably handling the social media and getting sponsors on board. During this journey, there are a lot of challenges that we all face, right? And challenges are made to be solved, right? So, what is the biggest challenge you guys have faced till date in this journey till national finals from qualifying the regionals? I'd like to hear that story from anyone.
So I think I should start with one of the biggest issues faced when designing the car. For me, it was using finding and using CFD software. So basically, none of us have very powerful systems, so we couldn't use an offline CFD software. And also, any other offline CFD software was mostly only supported for Windows, not Apple, which is what the laptop I'm using. So I found
Yeah,
it very hard to find a good CFD software which is very accurate and does not require much power to work. And also because of that, the
exactly.
regionals didn't go very well for us. But now now I was able to find a cloud-based system which also works on Mac. So I'm going to use that. It's called SimScale, and I'm going to use that for the CFD now.
Amazing, Adit. Because yeah, that's probably a problem that we also faced. Because yeah, as you said that some of the softwares are not supported on the Mac OS, and if they are supported, probably the computation power is not that great in order to support that CFD software. That's a big challenge, I guess. Definitely. Moving on, Adit, I guess you're the one responsible for designing and manufacturing the car, as you told. So, I mean, what was the inspiration that you took in order to build that? I mean, create that beauty. I mean, obviously, the product that we create, that is our car. So, what is the inspiration that drive you to make that car, and how you probably make that from?
So for the inspiration, I would mostly look for various different F1 cars designed over the years in world finals and nationals to look for some ideas about how the wings or different important parts of the car were designed and how they help with aerodynamics. So this is how
Okay.
I got an idea for the rear wing, and I changed the rear wing, and now I'm in the process of testing it to refine it further. So for inspiration, it's mostly other people's cars, and also I'm also looking into some parts of the actual Formula One cars. Of course, we can't take all of the part of the F1 actual Formula One cars, but some part of the F1 cars which coincide with F1 and school cars, like the rear wing. I've also been taking some inspiration from there.
Amazing. Oh, that's great to hear about how you guys, I mean, how you are probably taking the inspiration. But now the challenge comes because in the national finals, we probably have to manufacture our cars. So, Adit, what is the strategy that you have planned? Because I mean, it's almost 2 months left now in the national finals, and I guess we all might be rushing up with our work in order to get that car manufactured. So, what is the strategy that you'll be following in order to manufacture the car?
So for manufacturing, so basically I set a timeline for myself, like because if before manufacturing I had to finalize a car design. So I've made a timeline which according to which I should finish finalizing the car design before I'm supposed to start manufacturing. And Kush from our team will help me get the materials required for for the car manufacturing. And because our school has a CNC machine, because F1 is because Time Sports is providing a CNC machine for us. We'll just use the machine to design the car itself, and obviously the different parts of the car will be 3D printed using the materials. Then after that, it's just
Okay,
fine tuning the car.
amazing. So probably you have a CNC machine and you have everything sorted that all right. We'll get these all parts 3D printed from here. We would get support from obviously Time of Sports in order to get the car manufactured. Amazing to hear all of these things. So, with another question is that probably how many prototypes are you planning to get manufactured, right? Because that's also a big question. Because if you say that I need to manufacture 10 prototypes, but probably if the team do not have that much of funding or resources, so how would you probably align it with the whole team identity again?
So for prototypes manufacturing, I'm thinking about manufacturing probably 2 to 3 prototypes because that fits in our budget. Like as we are also going for different materials, so I think that will fit within our budget well. And also, 2 to 3 prototypes I think should be perfect for testing, as most of the other testing will be done by CF. So 2 to 3 prototypes I think should be perfect for us.
Okay, amazing. Moving on. So I guess we talked about manufacturing and designing as well now. So probably almost each and every aspect is covered apart from the verbal presentations part. So I mean, personally, as a team, we faced a problem that we exceeded the time limit in the verbal presentation this time. Right. So probably what are your guys' insights on how a team should prepare for verbal presentations, and how much important is verbal presentation in Formula One schools as a competition? Anyone could go ahead and talk on that thing.
Repeat your question.
So yeah, I'd like to know about how verbal presentations look like in your team, and what would be the best strategy in order to get just nail the verbal presentation thing.
So obviously, like, presentation is really important. Like even if we have like good information and good research done, like obviously if we can't present it properly, like all of that is going to waste. So like having a very good presentation is really important.
Definitely, coach. So probably yes, sorry, coach.
Yeah, so the verbal presentation is important because it lets you show them like how you interact as a team. Because if you just submit like documents and some files and like they're not actually seeing you as a team, they're just seeing your work. You will have to actually like there you can actually show the interactivity between your team members. You can actually maybe prove some of the things you said in your document. You can show them your team identity and also get some extra points and so on.
Definitely amazing, and it also carries a huge portion of the scorecard, right? It almost carries 180 points.
As for tips, like I think the number one tip that all teams should follow is that actually like get your story straight. If everyone is saying something different, and like the judges are left with a bad impression. So you should actually try rehearsing and don't just rehearse like the night before the presentation. Actually, try at least start rehearsing like at least like a week ago. Maybe before that, try to like make a script. Don't just make a static script, but like keep adding to it after every rehearsal. Oh, and make sure you know it by heart instead of just looking at a script while you're performing. Of course, it's impractical to like know like an entire script by heart. So you should just like know the key points because again, it sounds more natural if you actually go along making it just keeping the points in mind. But you shouldn't deviate, and you especially shouldn't contradict each other or introduce any topic which the rest of the team knows nothing about.
Actually, agree, Tarikul. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the great strategy that keep a story straight and learn the script by heart so you do not fumble and finish it on time. Right. We talked about every aspect till now. About yes, please.
The stuff I just said, it goes to all verbal presentations. Like maybe even if you did it in like 2018. But the next thing I'm gonna say is relevant to like online verbal presentations, and specifically it's to be familiar with like the platform you're going on. So we personally we did it. We rehearsed on Microsoft Teams. We got some like online elements that would be relevant to Teams, but they didn't actually translate with the Zoom. So make sure you're familiar with what platform it's going to be on. Make sure you're like that you're familiar with all the tech so you don't fumble while trying to speak. Yeah, and that's all I have to say.
Exactly. I mean, you're basically went through with the platform and the interface, I guess, right? So you probably do not hesitate to speak up, right? And I mean, this happened with us, I guess, because we were so used to Discord that when it came that the verbal presentation would be on Teams, we actually were a little bit confused at probably how we do all of these things. That's a very good advice, I guess, Arikul, and probably teams should listen to it. We talked about every aspect till now about Formula One in schools and how it works in a team. Actually, to conclude the whole episode, I'd like to know that how has been the journey and how probably you feel that, I mean, how you feel that a competition has probably changed your life, and how important role does Formula One in schools play? I mean, a role play in your life.
I'll probably say something different to everyone else, so I'll let them go first.
Sure, no problem. We start with Adit.
So F1 in schools has obviously been very time consuming, as it's a like because I have to spend at least an hour per day to dedicate to it, to work on the portfolio, the car design, and the research. And the about the impact, I think I've learned a lot about different physics regarding the car, different research, also different types of software. I never knew about CFD software, CAD software, and different types of machines like CNC machine before this. So I've learned a lot regarding this, and um also I've also learned like how different types of testing. So you can do CFD wind tunnel testing, you can do FEA stress testing, and I've learned a lot.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, we definitely take a lot of things that we probably do not learn it on our textbooks, and that we could probably see in our practical lives. Amazing, Adit. Arikul would probably go in the end. So yeah, Kush, what's your experience and how do you feel?
So yeah, I think it's pretty like doing pretty cool so far. Like so many things like marketing and like how to track people, like sales and marketing, like digital marketing, all that. Like that's really like something that I've learned as a concept, like on a course or something. But like right now, like to actually apply it, it's like I think it's a very good learning. And like not just for me, like everyone in whatever they're doing, like whatever skill they're implementing is doing really like it's really good that they're actually having a an actual application for it.
Yeah, that's great, Kush. Amazing to hear about what do you think about Formula One in schools and what you have gained out of it. Trisha, what's your story?
I agree with everyone else what they said, but yeah, I think it's really helped improve on skills, more real life kind of skills that, as you said, we wouldn't learn in textbook or in school. So such as marketing and getting people, negotiation and persuasion skills, as well as even if I or someone else on the team is not like Abid only mainly does the car, we still learn a lot about the mechanics and the technical aspects of a car, which I think is important because it's like interesting, and other aspects and skills that I think will really help us later on in life.
Definitely. These are the skills probably that would definitely help us in the practical world because even, I mean, getting sponsors and managing social media and all of these things are particular skills that have really great job opportunity base and also it's a vast field in itself. So probably, Arikul, what's your experience till now in Formula One in schools? Please conclude the whole podcast for us.
Right. So far, all my team members have been saying like how it positively affected their life, but I'm gonna give like a more mixed opinion. So I will agree that
Okay.
F1 does help. It makes you learn some stuff. It gives you a working ethic and so on. But on the other hand, like if you're, let's say you're not interested in engineering, but you're doing it because of a favor, but then in that case, then it really isn't going to be fun because you're going to have to be putting in a lot of work without even actually doing the things F1 is known for. And like besides, like F1 really does take a lot of efforts. Like you need to work like several hours in like a week and so on. Like I could you it basically locks you out of doing like several other extracurricular activities unless you're literally like unless you have like several hours of free time. Yeah, but on the it's not. If you remember, I said that at the start. I asked literally everyone in the grade to join us. Yeah, but because I've done F1 before and I knew how grueling it was, I made sure to actually warn everyone first. That's probably why only 2 out of 80 people agreed. But but one thing I would like to make clear is that I'm not saying F1 is bad. Like if you're interested in engineering or cars, then yeah, it's a really good experience. I know that Alex has learned a lot genuinely. So yeah, if you like cars, then this is the thing for you. But if you're not interested in all of this, then I'd advise that you actually like think about it a little more instead of just jumping onto it.
Definitely, definitely. I totally agree with your point, Arikul, because I mean, if you're really interested and I mean, if engineering really drives you in, probably F1 in schools is the competition for you. And probably if you're more or less interested in management and learning how sponsorships work out, probably you could just enroll in and get a lot of skills, I guess, because you get to know. I mean, you get to meet a lot of new people, and you get to communicate with them, have correspondence with them, and all of these things would really help in life. So I totally agree with all of your points on how negatively or positively F1 in schools have impacted our lives, and that, I mean, this is a journey and experience that would carry forward with the generations, I guess, because this is a whole long journey and we'll never forget it. I mean, personally, I will never forget it. So, I mean, it was definitely a great podcast session recording with you guys, and I didn't really thought that it would go such a, I mean, in a, such a smooth process. And it was so fun recording, I guess, and I mean, we definitely learned about all of these things considering from engineering sponsorships and how has your journey been and how has your experience in Formula One in schools. So I guess by this we definitely have come to an end of this lovely podcast, and really had a great time recording this session with Team Borolis, who is representing Delhi, and probably I wish them all the very best for the upcoming national finals and hope they represent our country and just not represent, probably get the World Champions Trophy back to India. So by this, I'm your host Narayan signing off again. Meet you in the next podcast.